Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating claim that comes from within the Quran itself, that it holds a hidden cosmic code, a kind of spiritual physics for the human soul.
So let's just chew on that for a second. What if this code isn't just about faith, but about something bigger? We're going to unpack a model that argues there's a huge difference between subjective belief, which can be twisted and manipulated, and objective, unchangeable truth. It's a journey from one to the other.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the two basic forces of the universe. Then we'll see how one single choice split everything in two. We'll find out how your soul fits in, and then we'll look at the final outcome of it all.
Okay, first things first. We have to understand the cosmic equation. According to this framework, this whole universe of choice we live in is governed by two fundamental and this is key, unequal forces, light and fire.
Now this is super important. We're not talking about a simple good versus evil like in the movies. In this model, light is the absolute source of all truth and knowledge. It's the original stuff. Fire, on the other hand, is a created tool. It has one job: to separate truth from falsehood, to burn away the impurities. So you see, right off the bat, they aren't even in the same league.
And here's where it gets really layered. The model links these elements to specific divine attributes in their angelic agents. So the attribute of oneness, Ahad, is tied to light and Gabriel. The attribute of mercy, Rahim, is linked to water and Mikael. And the attribute of might, Azizul Hakim, is connected to fire, that tool of separation wielded by the force of Iblis.
Okay, so now that we have these forces established, let's look at the moment it all kicked off. The very first choice. This is where a fundamental split happens in existence, and it sets the stage for everything that follows.
The entire architecture of this whole model is built on one single verse, the Quran's famous verse of light. And it's not just read as beautiful poetry. In this framework, it's a metaphysical blueprint for the human soul and its incredible potential.
So how is it a blueprint?
Well, the model decodes the verse's powerful metaphor just like this. The niche is your heart, the vessel. Inside that is the lamp. That's divine scripture, truth itself. The glass protecting the lamp is your soul, your nafs, which can be a clear window or a dirty one. And the whole thing is lit by a blessed tree, which is fueled by the oil of our own innate purity.
And when all those pieces click into place, when the pure oil of the soul is touched by the lamp of truth, you get this incredible state, light upon light. It describes a soul that's become a perfect mirror for knowledge, glowing on its own, without ever needing the harsh test of fire to be purified.
This brings us right back to that first fateful choice. You have Iblis, a being of fire who refuses to bow to Adam, a being of clay. He says, I am better. And that single moment is framed as the ultimate choice. Raw, fiery pride over the humble acceptance of truth. Adam, the clay vessel, represents the potential to hold mercy and reflect knowledge, while Iblis doubles down on the path of fire.
So that initial choice, it didn't just end with Iblis. It actually branches out, creating two totally distinct spiritual lineages, two different paths for all of humanity to follow.
And you can actually visualize these as two separate loops. You've got the right loop, the tree, which starts with people like Abraham who recognize truth. This is the path of the Ruh, the purified spirit, and it leads to the prophets. Then you have the left loop, the fire, kicking off with Iblis's rejection. This is the path of the nafs, the untested ego, which ends up generating illusion and confusion.
Now, on that path of truth, you have these key figures who act like signposts for us. Abraham is foundational because he saw through the idols to the one creator. His sons, Ismail and Ishaq, are seen as representing two ends of this purified spirit, the Ruh. And connecting them all is the really unique figure of Maryam.
Maryam's role here is absolutely fascinating. In this framework, she's not just a historical figure, she's a sacred chrysalis, a perfect vessel of purity that acts as a connector, allowing the divine word to be delivered into the world. She bridges the paths of mercy and knowledge.
Okay, I know this is a huge cosmic drama, but here's where it becomes intensely personal. This next part translates all of this into the celestial mechanics of your very own soul.
This framework uses this really powerful metaphor of celestial mechanics. Think of it like this. The sun is the constant source of light and truth. That's Gabriel. The moon represents the prophets. It has no light of its own, but it perfectly reflects the sun's light. And your soul, your nafs, that's the planet, sitting right there between them.
So this places you at the center of a really profound choice. Your soul, the planet, has free will.
Is it going to align itself to reflect the light of the sun, which is relayed by the moon? Or is it going to turn away, creating its own shadow and collapsing under the internal gravity of its own pride and ego?
So really, the whole point of this journey is transformation. The nafs, the untested self, starts out as just raw might mixed with ignorance. The entire goal is to purify it into the ruh, a spirit that combines the light of knowledge with the action that comes from that knowledge. You're basically going from a dark, shadowy planet to a radiant one.
All right, last stop. Where did these two paths ultimately lead? Let's take a look at the final destination, the great sorting of souls, based on the choices they've consistently made.
The soul's entire journey is mapped as a cycle, a kind of lawful teleportation between different states of being. It starts in pre-existence, moves to a spiritual life, then passes through the cave of mercy, which is the room, before finally being born into its big test here on Earth. The main idea is that the whole cycle is driven by divine mercy.
So when we talk about the Day of Judgment, it's not framed as some random, out-of-the-blue event. It's the inevitable moment when all those loops of choice we saw earlier finally collapse. After a whole lifetime of decisions, a soul's true nature is simply revealed. You become what you have consistently chosen to be.
And this leads us to a pretty stunning final analogy, one that connects this whole spiritual model directly to the language of modern physics. Get this. In this view, truth is like a particle. It's fixed, solid, objective. But mercy is like a wave. It flows, it bends, it envelops everything, allowing for change and rebirth.
And that leaves us with one last, really profound question for you to think about. In this cosmic test we're all in, what is your soul becoming? Is it hardening into an unbending particle of pride, refusing to yield to a truth outside of itself? Or is it choosing to be a flowing, life-giving wave of mercy, reflecting the light of absolute truth? According to this framework, that choice is entirely yours.